We're doing it, baby. We're back. Welcome to another wonderful Friday. I hope you guys had a great week. Again, my name is Richie Chance with Richie's Actors Workshop. I cover all things acting. I've been coaching my whole life, and I'm excited to go live to bring to you a bunch of wonderful people that I think are worthy of highlighting and spotlighting a little bit. So today we have none other than the wonderful Nyema got jokes. Hey, she's here. Nyema Tannenbaum. Let me try to get you on here by doing something like this. And then a little something like this. Okay. Yes, sir. Schlocky, my brother. Welcome, everyone.
Hi. I'm here.
What's up? Look at you. Hi.
Look at me. My nice background. I showed up. Showing up and showing out, Richie.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you publicly.
Yes. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. So yeah, let's just get started and get with it. Everyone knows that I like to talk to people who I feel are deserving of more notoriety. Whether they be on a bunch of shows and in a bunch of movies right now or not, doesn't change anything for me. Like, I think you're a wonderful person and a fantastic actress, and you're hilarious.
Thank you.
Let's first of all get started with who you are specifically.
Okay.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Nyema Tannenbaum. I don't know. I have a full-time job as a grant writer in the nonprofit industry, but where my heart lies is in acting and a little bit of stand-up and comedy in the mix as well.
Yes. So I'd love to get into all that. I didn't know that you wrote grants, but way to help people fund their dreams, I guess. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's fun. Thank you. It's really fun work. I get to work from home. And I get to look for money for a living. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And I feel like it's going to translate eventually into something in show business. But I definitely wanted to get into how I met you, because I don't know how you first heard about us or what brought you up to us, but I sure did not get a chance to meet the outgoing Nyema Tannenbaum that everyone else sees here. Sorry, Tannenbaum. So let's find out a little bit about how we came across each other the first time.
All right. So I'm always trying to find new jobs. This was all the way back in like 2004 or 5, maybe. I was like, I'm going to be a sub at with LAUSD. I was waiting tables at the time. I was like, no, forget it. I'm going to start subbing. It was like a week-long program, and you had to like introduce yourself the first day. So I was like, yeah, I'm here, but I really want to be an actor. By the end of the week, we were all like doing our goodbyes and stuff. And this woman that I hadn't even spoken to the entire week came up to me with this little scrap of paper and was like, hey, I know you want to be an actor. You should really, like, my friend told me about this place. It's called Expressions Unlimited. You should like check it out. And I was like, okay, sounds good to me. Like, why not? I took it as like a sign. Don't be a sub. So I went with that. I've not subbed one day. But yeah, that was the end. I called. I think I like left a message because that's how long ago it was. Your mom told me to come in on Saturday, and I loved it. I was terrified, which is where you should be as an actor. This work should scare you. And yeah, at the end of Saturday, your mom was like, come to Richie's Wednesday class. And I was like, I will see this Richie person there, but I know I'm on my way.
Have you done anything like that before?
No. So I always knew I wanted to be an actor, but I was the shyest, like from the age, like 12 or so on. I just was like, oh my God, nobody look at me. Nobody talk to me. Like, I just want to hide. Like, I don't know. The world is scary. So I was like, yeah, I want to be an actor, but I don't know. I'm not going to take class. Like, my mom wasn't into the taking classes thing. I grew up here in LA. She was like, yeah, you got to just stick with school. Like, she wasn't seeing the dream. It's like, you can't even, I don't know, say hi to strangers. She didn't see it.
I mean, that's pretty typical. I've heard that a lot growing up in the position that I have. where not a lot of kids would be allowed to hang out at my house because they thought my family was into some cult activity here.
Wow.
But granted, I was doing like improvisation birthday parties.
Yeah.
All of my birthday parties, instead of having a clown or a bouncy house, we would do a bunch of improvs.
That is awesome. That is so dope. Like as a kid I can't imagine what it was like to, to do that.
I've always been able to hear these stories about how growing up you didn't necessarily have that same kind of background. And then when you come into a Saturday class, of all things to get started in your acting career, a Saturday class. Can you tell us a little bit about that process? Like when you got there on Saturday, what it was like to see a bunch of other actors doing things? Because not too many people know what we used to throw down with on Saturday.
That's true. Saturday class might be a mystery to most of the people listening. So Saturday class was basically, there's open mics for comedians. I kind of looked at it as an open mic for actors.
That's awesome.
You never knew what to expect. You never knew who was going to be there. Richie's mom, Bobby, teaches the class. And yeah, it was basically all these different acting exercises. Sometimes you'd be told, say this sentence like you're angry. Now switch it to sexual. Now switch it to being sad. You just had all of these emotions being pulled out of you based on nothing. Based on nothing other than raw talent, skill, cojones. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I love asking people that question because I've been struggling to articulate what it is that we do on a Saturday since I was a little kid. People are like, oh, why can't you come to Little League? I'm like, you won't get it with the knowledge of words that I have. I'm need a poet. But you've always been one of the more articulate people that I've ever known, which is why I think you've always had like this longing to communicate and express. But if you come from a place where that's not part of the norm, there's no reason why you would have skills in place or even the knowledge that you have the freedom to do so. But I think something kicked in your head eventually where you were like, you know what? I'm the only person I need to be happy with and impress and try to create a good life for.
No, how did you? I've never told you that, but how did you know it? And also, why am I surprised?
I Googled you. No, it's not on there.
Oh.
My relationship with people is so much more intimate than most people can imagine when I try to explain to people, like, how do you know Nyema? Or how do you know people? I was constantly smashing you up against your comfort zone boundaries until you broke through those bad boys.
Yeah.
So I'm like the luckiest guy ever in terms of getting to know you because I got to watch the phoenix rise.
Dude, thank you so much. Coming from you, that means like everything. That's awesome. But
like, I mean, thank you, but like, I love to see that. Like, not everybody gets to do that. A lot of people are going to live the next several decades of their life dreaming about having the opportunity to actually do what they love. And that's why I love talking to you. And you do what you love. And then there was a time where you're like, well, comedy's fucking scary. I would never want to stand up there and get exposed like that without a character or a scene to hide behind. So can you tell me about how you went?
Not told you this. How do you know this?
I'm curious about this, like, series of challenges that you put in front of yourselves.
Yeah.
And by selves, I mean like plural, because you've gone through so many evolutions.
This is a fact. This is a fact.
So take me back a little bit. And once you like got that taste of being challenged and threatened constantly up at a Saturday, like how did that evolve into you being this constantly challenged artist?
It was a lot of things. First, it was me kind of being not challenged or scared by the auditions that I was getting. I was getting a lot of extremely flattering hot chick roles, which, like, thanks for someone who was went through a horrendous awkward stage, as did we all. It was very nice to hear that, but that's not exactly like I can do more than just look cute. So around 2011, I started looking for a mentor in the industry. I didn't want them to be another actor. I just wanted it to be somebody who had an insight into the industry that I just wasn't getting. I ended up linking up with a guy named Arthur Harris. He was a writer and producer. He still is. And he told me, you should try stand-up. They have a really hard time finding attractive women that are funny. And I was like, challenge accepted. Like, I'm there. So I took a class with Bobby Oliver in 2011 and immediately just felt like, oh my God, like this is where I'm, but like the search is over. Like I found why I'm on this planet. The comedians I met, like I just felt super comfortable with them. All my social awkwardness went away. Like it just felt like home.
Well, I think that you've always deserved a microphone in your hand.
Oh, thanks.
And it makes total sense seeing you with one, like I got to see you perform live. You know, we came out and sat in, not the front row, but
I'm learning. I never knew that. I don't remember you ever coming to a show.
yeah, you were putting on these shows. I think it was on at the was it the Comedy Store?
Maybe. I used to host a mic every Thursday.
Yeah.
Did you sneak in somehow? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you know, I'm a big fan, but I don't like to distract, you know? Just like how I'd come up to my dad's class all the time or my mom's class and stand in the back.
Yeah.
And just like kind of creep out and just watch the work getting done because it was so cool. But I didn't want anyone to go, hey, Richie, and it take away from, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I would have totally panicked. I'm like, oh my God, what I see here. Like, yeah, it would have been. So thank you. You know me,
Hey,
clearly.
like, thank you for making us laugh really hard and then hosting a bunch of other comedians, giving them a platform. But that somehow turned into you producing. And now all of a sudden, when I see your name on IMDb Pro next to Kevin Hart as a producer of comedy shows, I'm like, hold on, what's going on here? How did that all happen?
So crazy. So again, me looking for mentorship in this industry, I reached out to David Arnold. He has the Art of Stand-Up Comedy class that he teaches. He's been doing it for years. And I took his class twice and then went to their showcase. And I literally felt like my life is passing me by. Like, why am I not still doing it? Like, I need to be back here. So I finagled my way into being his assistant. Like I just started like running the camera I was like, I'll run camera. You need somebody to run the camera. Like, I got you. I'll be there every showcase, which then became me doing that for his classes, which became me as his assistant, which became me working on his podcast with him. And then, yeah, he did a Netflix or a special in Cleveland in 2018, I think. And I helped him produce it. But I had no idea he was going to give me producer credit until I saw like the rough cut. I was like, wait, David, what? Like, we didn't talk about, thank you. Like, this is amazing. So I should just make it up and say, oh yeah, I worked with Kevin Hart. Like, this is just what I do. But
oh yeah, Kevin Hart and I go way back.
Yeah, thick as thieves. But I'm too transparent for all that, so.
Man, no, you are. And that's something that you've always been able to pride yourself on since I met you, which is like you kind of wear your heart on your sleeve,
Yeah.
which is why you deserve that credit. You know, why I don't even know this whole backstory behind it all, aside from what you just said, but like you hustle and you're constantly brainstorming ways to put yourself in a position where you could do what you're here to do and live your best life, your most authentic self. Like, fuck yeah, man, I want everyone to know about you. And for you to blow up even more and inspire other people to do this stuff. So by the time Fiona's old enough to watch all these IG lives, she's like, yeah, strong women, bad shit.
Oh my God, Fiona. That girl is so cute.
That's a whole nother thing. Like, I'm going to know if we start talking about
I know. We got to do another IG live on how cute she is.
But for her to have, like, the ability to look at these videos or look at women like yourselves and to see that you're not waiting. you know, for someone to be like, here's a producer credit on a comedy show
Mm-hmm.
that's going to go to Netflix.
Right.
You're not waiting to become a stand-up comedian. You're pursuing it and investing in yourself and putting yourself in these circumstances
Yeah.
that might not be predictable, which takes away from your security, which makes it fucking scary. And you're like this Amazonian that's like, yeah, fuck yeah, scary. Like, I'll volunteer.
Sign me up. It's so
Right?
funny that you say that because I don't see myself in that way at all. Like, I see myself as somebody who always plays it safe, who, like, that's why I still have a full-time job because I'm like, I don't do broke. Like, I can't, I'm not cut out for it. I'm not about that life energy. I'm too light skinned for that. I can't do it. I don't have that. So that's funny that you say that. Thank you.
Hey, that's you know, the beauty of the lens that we see the world through. It's shaved down to a different uh, prescription than everybody else's, and the way we see ourselves is always kind of fucked up. From what I've learned from meeting thousands of people by trying to pursue acting, I'm like, so tell me about yourself. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not really talented, and I'm really fucking ugly, and everyone hates me.
Okay.
Action.
Right? How do you feel with that?
You have so much to build on, actually. It's kind of cool, you know? And then you meet, and then if that person is in the same room with someone like yourself who might have been practicing social distancing since the age of 12,
Accurate.
but we don't see it, you know? Like, I don't see you as this standoff person. I see you as someone who I can come talk to and be like, how'd you do it? But then you're so humble, you'd be like, do what, bro? I'm still
still trying to get there, but
So, and I know you might have been subjected to a little bit of rejection, as we all have by putting ourselves out there.
right.
Can you tell me, because a lot of people watching this, they don't even want to put their neck on the chopping block. You know,
Right.
they want to hear how you dealt with it, and if it's okay with you, maybe they'll endeavor a little bit out into the world.
Yeah.
So what do you do when people put you down or tell you that you're not right for this, or you're too light skinned, or you're too dark skinned, or, you know, your face is too upside down or right side up? Like,
Yeah. It's a lot of things. I think my main motivator is knowing that we're not going to be here forever. Like, there's an end to all of this fun. And I don't want to be 80, 90, whatever years old. Like, fuck, what if I had just tried? Like, what if I had just gone for it? Time doesn't come back. Like, this is it. And I learned that in your class. This is it. Today, right now. Like, stop fucking around. It's not a game. Like, you gotta show up for yourself. Otherwise, what, like, life's so hard. It's so hard. You might as well fight for the good shit, you know? Like, that's my main motivator. But beyond that, I don't care. Like, I just don't care. Yeah, it gets me down sometimes and it's frustrating, and you start to think, like, do I suck? Like, what's the deal? But you just can't really care. Like, I do this work for me. I will do it till the day that I die, whether I book shit or not. Like, I'm here. Y'all are stuck with me. So
yes. Yes. Oh, hell yeah. Sorry.
all right.
I don't react like that to sports, you know?
Because this is your passion, you know?
Like, I don't raise my arms up on a roller coaster. G-forces aren't that crazy to me. But for you, like, with that kind of a feeling and answer and motivator, and like to know that your balance is tipped in, I'd rather do it than give a fuck about how other people think about me doing it.
Exactly.
Means you get to do so much stuff.
Exactly.
And maybe you still have some fucks reserved financially.
Lots, for sure. Because I did the whole struggling thing, you know? We can come back to that. I feel like you were working up to a question, but.
I mean, not really. I just like everything I'm about to ask you comes from all the last things that you just said.
Okay.
Like, I don't have a list of anything, you know, I got like pictures of her.
Gotcha.
to distract me. Like, I can't look away from you when I talk to you because I'm going to miss all this amazing treasure that comes out of you.
Thanks.
And like I said before, you're the type of person who can articulate the feelings and thoughts that go on inside of you. Not everybody has that ability, but we all have those thoughts and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone with that type of power, you know, as an orator, is okay with sharing that gift with the rest of us, I hope other people hit you up and they're like, hey, can you talk to me too? Because I learn when you talk. And
Wow.
something I like to do with this Friday Live thing is take people who might not feel like they've achieved too much and remind them, compared to everybody else, like, you're on a rocket ship right now with Richard Branson, you know.
Absolutely.
Floating around, because there's a lot of people who've never done stand-up comedy, who've never taken an acting class, who've never auditioned and self-taped. So when you get an audition and you find yourself being put in this position to produce your own audition at home,
Yeah.
And self-tape, can you tell me a little bit about your process? Because that's a whole new world now for people.
It is. It is.
So I'm curious to hear about your self-tape process.
Yeah. It's taken me a minute. It's taken me a minute to figure out my space, like how I just was going to set myself up to do this, you know, like getting the ring light and the different stands and the different backgrounds. Like I even made a video about how frustrated I was with, like, just, you know, it's hard. It's hard. But I signed up for it. So
Someone's sending
a while to get situated.
Yeah. Sorry, you were getting
Am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, you're good now. I can hear you. But it sounded like you just got it submitted on a self-tape or something. So.
Okay, cool. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'm going to go with it.
Like a notification popped up on your phone and it muted you from us.
I wish. It was just my Aunt Regina. Hi, Aunt Regina. I'll call you back. So I got situated with like my background and all that kind of stuff. And then it's really just all about the work, you know, not just learning the lines, but creating a whole life for this person who you might have a shot at portraying to the world. There are times when I go to like a service, like a self-tape service, because sometimes the auditions are just so like, there's just so much pressure for whatever reason, whether it's time restraints or I just have worked on it so much that I want to just walk into a space and then dip. So, but even that has its challenges. You meet readers that are just like, what are you doing? Like, I'm trying to be a star. Can you like get the energy up or enunciate? I don't know, but you know, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's my most frequently answered question, you know, that they have to listen to me constantly talking about when people call me. Is everyone gets all these self-tapes. Sometimes they ask you for, like, we were just talking about this in the workshop on Wednesday night on Zoom. We were talking about how sometimes you'll get a submission for an audition and they'll say, all right, we'd like these 9 clips running at the park, working out at the gym.
God.
And you're thinking like, hold on. I need to go get a camera guy. I need to sign releases.
Yeah. You need to go to film school. What is this?
I need to hire a full production company for this self-tape. And I get it. Like sometimes you just want to go and work on being an actor and not have to produce your own self-tape. But that's a position that we're in. So now listen to you. You're a gaffer.
Right.
You're a grip. You know, you're a director of photography. You're a first camera assist. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, Desi and I had this audition with Fiona where, you know, we had to shoot all these things where we're dancing all together. She's dancing with the baby. I'm dancing with the baby. And then we had to cut it and edit it. So it was all within 2 minutes and send it in. We had like 3 hours to do it.
Oh my God.
What are some of the most unreasonable things that you've been asked to do so far in this business? This is one of my favorite questions because people quite often get asked to do unreasonable things.
Yeah. I'm lucky I haven't been asked to do anything that crazy. Um, it is kind of, I laugh when I see like, I hope these people aren't watching, chances are slim, but it makes me laugh when I see, don't spend money, don't like go to a self tape place, but we need a full body slate and like stuff that I can't do. I only have 2 arms. There's only so much that I can do. So that's the craziest. I had no idea that it was that grimy in these streets. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's some tough spots people get put in, you know. I also hear things like Vanessa just brought up, how many takes do you really
Oh
do, you know?
Lord.
Depending on the type of level of perfectionism you're accustomed to, you might find yourself doing this self-tape all day and all night.
Yeah, pretty much. And that would be me. Yeah, it's gotta be right. And my perfectionism, as I'm sure you know, sometimes it's great. Sometimes it is my biggest effing hindrance, is wanting things to be just so, you know?
Yeah, I
So,
think that's something a lot of artists struggle with, that I've come into contact with. When you're up at the studio, it's not that you don't know your lines. It's not that you don't know how to feel when you say those lines, but the concept of committing to what you know and actually doing it,
right.
that seems to be the hardest threshold for most people to pass through.
Totally. I so get that. I have all the information, but I don't want to use it. Like, that's too scary. I don't want to do that yet. That's usually my approach.
Now, what would be like the ideal world, if you were to get a phone call today from, you know, whether it be a producer of a comedy show, a special that would want you to go on tour with them, or a TV show and they would want you to come in and do a, you know, a series regular role, or a, you know, big picture deal with a, you know, like a universe type um, series of films like Marvel or DC or any of these worlds that you know will bring you back for the next 10, 15 years.
Right?
Um, your ideal situation right now for your acting career, what would you think that would be right now?
So, Paul Thomas Anderson is my reason for getting up in the morning. I think he is honestly one of the most talented writers, directors of our generation. Like, that's just an indisputable fact. So I'm waiting for that phone call, and I'm gonna make that happen. When I say wait, I mean I'm working towards it. But yeah, it'd be game over for me. Like, okay.
Um, I mean, that's a great answer. When you talk about those types of movies, it's going to take up a few months of your life, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to change everything. And we're very lucky to work with a lot of actors to get to work in projects like that, you know? Now, were there any like outstanding moments from being up at the studio that stick out to you?
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like
Because
this.
you showcased a lot, you know? You were coming up there for some time and you did a
Yeah.
lot of work on that
Yeah.
stage.
I think my first breakthrough that I ever had in your class, because I struggled a lot when I first started, because I was just everything was just locked into me so tightly. Um, and I always wanted to do the scene right, whatever that means. So there was one scene that I did where you gave me a direction that was something like, I think I was like a donut shop owner or something. And you were like, all right, I want everybody to get on stage. You guys are going to like crowd the donut shop, and like, Nyema, you have to get rid of them. And like, there was no script. It was just fucking go. And I went and it was hilarious and it was fun. And there was no thinking involved. I just really felt like I was a donut shop owner, and this was like happening in real life. So that was a huge breakthrough for me. Um, there was another time I was doing a scene with Levi. Do you remember that super tall guy, Levi? I was doing, what scene? What's the Meryl Streep movie where They have the kid, Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, um,
Kramer versus Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer, where you
That's
moved
what it was.
back to town.
Yes. We did that scene, and I saw you out of the corner of my eye, like whisper something to Robbie Jones. And the next thing I know, Robbie Jones comes walking on stage in the middle of my scene and was like, "Are you guys ready to order yet?" And the vitriol that came out of me, because that's like such a pivotal part of the scene. And it was so perfect that you like sent him in there because, again, it like grounded me and made shit real. And there was no thinking. It was just me being like, "Can you give us a minute, please?" Anyways, like, it was awesome. So yeah, those are the first.
Yeah. That's I remember both of those moments. I remember you doing that scene Jew order, when you're in the
Yeah,
bagel shop.
yeah. Maybe it was bagels. It wasn't donuts. It was my
Yeah,
fat.
because I
Like, it was
clearly remember
donuts.
you saying, "Look, my husband Adam, who owns the bagel shop, is black and from New York." Because in that scene, like I used these scenes as something different than what my mom and dad would use them for.
Mm-hmm.
They would use them for you to completely vanish and disappear so the scene could get off the ground. And I always tried to explain it like Toy Story, how when the kids would leave, the toys would come to life.
Yeah.
So they were kind of recruiting people to bring these roles to life. And they always cared more about the roles coming to life. And that taught me how to do this work.
Yeah.
And then I took that and I was like, hold on, some of these scenes have different effects on people though. Like drill bits at the dentist.
Yeah.
Because they always bring out like a variety of drill bits, and I've always thought like, isn't one enough? Isn't doing scene work enough to bring you out of your shell? But this scene specifically, like you said at the beginning, you have this chance to become the authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone like yourself who's like, fuck that job.
Right. Right.
You guys do you. I'm going to go.
I'm going to hide under this rock for a few hours.
But to force you to kick everybody out at the beginning kind of sets a tone.
Right.
And then in that other scene with Levi, and shout out to Rob Jones, by the way. I had such a fun conversation with him.
Last week I saw it. I loved it.
Oh, man. So much fun talking to that guy. I love you guys so much, man. Like, people have no idea. When we go through this process with each other, we're not like this business relationship anymore. Like, I'm up in your vibration now forever.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah.
And likewise, I'm constantly, how would I be able to remember, you, and I also had you do these scenes before where you had to be a prostitute.
Yeah.
And you were on the stand and a cop was interrogating you about a murder. And, you're playing these hooker roles. Or you'd showcase on a Thursday night. You get the phone call about wardrobe.
Yeah. Yeah. Bobby's definitely a fan of, showcasing the girls and work it.
I'm definitely a better person because I got to see the variety of how people experienced that kind of night. And how it sets you up for when you're on location or on set and they bring out your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, So I totally understand comedy. A lot of our most dramatically capable actors have had a stint in comedy at least.
Really?
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about where some of that drive to stand up on stage and be potentially threatened or attacked or just to be
canceled
like especially now, like what is that like to put yourself in that position where if you say the wrong thing, you're gonna, if you say anything, you're gonna offend somebody.
Right? For sure. Yeah, it's different. Because I started in 2011, I've been able to see so much change in comedy. In 2016, when Hillary was running, the reaction that audiences had to women, like I would literally see people sit up in their seats when I got on stage. Like they wanted to see women. I had never seen that before, and it's still a thing to this day. People are open to seeing women on stage, but it's still terrifying. It's still, you have those moments of like, what am I doing? Like, I don't need this. I don't need this. I'm funny. My friends think I'm funny. Like, maybe that's enough. I don't need these strangers. So it's just like, mortify me for 15 minutes at a time. But then something will happen in my life that is so ridiculous, so frustrating, so triggering that I'm like, oh no, I need to talk about this. I need to tell a room full of strangers that this bullshit just happened. Because I need to tell somebody or I'm going to lose my mind.
Expressions Unlimited.
Right.
Yeah, the name has changed along the way, but it's still always been a space where people can just get it out.
There's no way I could have done this work without your class. There's absolutely, I'm telling you right now, there's just no way. I wouldn't have had the poise. I wouldn't have had the just the dexterity in terms of like moving through my emotions and staying in it when the audience is maybe not, like, they're not into it. Like, stay in it and like, lean into it.
Yeah, well, I'm curious about that because you have experienced so much more than I have in terms of being kind of still segregated as a woman and as not a minority in California,
right?
But in the U.S. typically, as a minority. So like having to overcome both of those things just by showing up. Like you said, you saw a visceral change in 2016 because a woman was running for president. Like,
yeah.
What was it like when she lost?
It was terrifying. And I knew when you do comedy, you have this kind of pulse on society, I guess. You're kind of plugged into the vibe of the room, the vibe of the world. And I also don't think it would take a rocket scientist to know that once Trump got in office, like shit was gonna go haywire. So I was sad. I was sad for all of the voices that were gonna get squashed because people that look like me don't want to get on stage. Like, they don't want to be involved in this comedy game when they know that there's a Nazi in the White House and like MAGA people potentially in the audience. Like, I've been in like small towns in California and seen like Confederate flags and then been like, oh my God, they're gonna hate my whole set because all I talk about is race and what it's like to be Black, what it's like to be mixed, what it's like to be a woman. So it's like, oh my God. But it's part of the gig.
Hey, I mean, if anything, you've got a lot more to talk about.
There you go. Exactly.
But the fear, and that's something that I've always had a lot of respect for, because you're putting yourself up there physically. It's not like you're doing some movie theater performance where everybody's watching your special. You're physically in the room with a bright light in your eyes, so you can't see just how many losers of the northern aggression might be sitting in your audience.
Jesus. Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, but I've always had a lot of respect for people that could get up there and will still address these subjects, and you look at someone like Dave Chappelle, who only talks about things that most people are afraid to talk about. He's not going to tell you, he even jokes about it. He's like, man, I flew in from Austin, boy, my arms are, like, he fucking jokes about just how impossible it is to not address how serious these situations are.
Absolutely.
And that's what I loved about going to see you, I mean, covertly, do comedy is that's all you talk about.
Yeah, that's my whole routine.
It's the best. So I'm just so curious to hear about like how how you have, like, where does this courage come from? Because we're talking about something more now than just doing a scene at a workshop or at a showcase or sending in a self-tape. We're talking about you purposefully understanding that you know and you're opposing these thoughts and feelings these people were raised with.
Yeah.
Live in person. And you bring humor to it as your shield. Like, I'm just so curious about that.
Yeah. I'm kind of, my back's against a wall because I can't not show up. It would be completely ludicrous for me to get on stage, someone who looks ethnically ambiguous. How would I not address the fact that everybody is sitting there thinking, like, what is she? Like, like just trying to figure out how I came into existence. I have to talk about it. It is what it is. And in terms of the courage part, most racists are really giant pussies. It's like the smallest dogs make the most noise. I mean, hopefully I won't get any crazy people. But I don't know what else to talk about. I wish I could think of something else to talk about. Believe me, I so wish I could talk about like paint drying on the wall and make that funny. You know what I mean? There's comics that can do it, but I'm not that comic. So I don't have a choice. I just don't.
Well, you speak your truth, and that's something that I've always had a lot of respect for at the beginning of people's careers. And the reason why I say that is because, NWA wasn't talking about fuck the police because they were, trying to become cops and they didn't pass the entrance exam in the academy.
Yeah.
Like, they were being singled out, and they were the voice of this group of people who were being singled out by the police when, stop and frisk laws were okay. And if you're being constantly stared at with these confused eyes, like, she doesn't look like a Barbie doll. How is she alive?
Pretty much.
What else would you talk about? But now there's Barbie dolls that look just like you.
Yay.
I think it's because women like you didn't give a fuck. And you were like, hey, I'm half Barbie doll, half other Barbie doll.
I love that.
Let's joke about it.
Put that on the census.
Hey, and you know what I think is really cool? A lot of the people, like you said, these racists who are big pussies, I think they're also, what they're afraid of is how attracted to you they are.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
Because I've always read the most, like, homosexual tendencies off of the homophobes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really insightful. I don't think about that connection much, but yeah, I think you're right.
I think it just came from growing up with a bunch of people that didn't look anything like me. And I would just watch a bunch of people that looked like me stare at you guys when you weren't looking.
Yeah.
Like, damn, that's exotic. Doesn't look like anything I'm used to. And then you look at them and they're like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
You caught them. Have you ever had to deal with any like specific racism through auditioning, or you don't have to say like name names or anything like that?
Yeah.
But I've been in the room actually where I've heard a lot of casting directors, let's say, execute their jobs with a tone of insensitivity.
Yeah, I got a lot more of that when I was doing commercial acting. Like, I remember sitting in the casting, like the waiting room, and really just reading the storyboard, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? It was a McDonald's commercial, and it was one of those that was like, this chicken show is good. Like, it was bad. It was bad, Richie. And it was even written, like, it wasn't written in like standard English. It was just like, oh my God.
They wrote it phonetically?
Right. It was
nice.
So bad.
Oh.
So there was a lot of that kind of stuff, just ignorant stuff like that, which is part of why I don't really audition for commercials that much anymore. because they just get silly. They just get
Mm.
silly and disrespectful real quick. Um, but luckily, I'm trying to think of like specific. Luckily, I've
'Cause
not dealt with that.
I just recently saw a billboard of a Latino guy standing at a food truck, and I said Bank of America, and it was in Spanish. And I looked up at it, and I translated it, and it said, "So convenient, you can make a deposit while waiting in line for lunch."
Yeah, I'm embarrassed by that. Like, that's embarrassing.
And then I'm thinking that commercial must have paid, that print job must have paid pretty damn well, though.
Right.
And there's been this long running history in this business of projects or jobs that might be totally insensitive, but will pay for you to essentially invest in yourself or provide a platform for yourself to combat that from within the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you read that breakdown on that McDonald's commercial, when you feel stuff like that, what is it in your head that, is the determining factor in whether or not you're going to go down that road, or if you're going to, plant a flag in that hill and
Yeah.
essentially die up there?
Yeah. My whole thing in life is a lot about race and this country's relationship with that. And so I would look and feel crazy if I came out with some shucking and jiving stuff. Like, I can't do it. It does not fit the brand. It does not fit my moral code. I'll go write grants all day long to avoid that shit. Like, it's not me. I can't. I just can't. I've got cousins and, young Black girls that are my blood that I don't want to ever have them turn on the TV and be like, why is she doing that? Like, that would pain me to my core. So there's a line that I won't cross.
Hell yeah. And that was a loaded question. I already know about your authenticity. I know you,
Yeah.
But for the people that are watching this that are like, she's got a price.
I don't.
Good luck. Good luck with that one. There's other money.
Exactly.
You don't have the old, and that's just one of the things I wanted to definitely touch on before we wrapped up, because a lot of people who are watching this are thinking like, well, if it was for a big enough role,
Mm-hmm.
maybe so. It depends on who you are as a person. And one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of yours has nothing to do with art, or creativity or show business or any of that. It's just the kind of person that you are. And you're not going to allow anybody to change that. And you've been that way since I met you. I never taught you how to act. Shit. We create a platform, like a gymnasium that has very specific exercise machines.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and be like, this is an arm.
Right.
You've been through life before I met you long enough to get out of trouble a bunch of times.
It's a fact.
But then when we play with each other, we're like, all right, how do we hack the shit out of this system?
Exactly.
How do we because you live in your body, your mind lives in your brain. And my whole thing is like, how do you grab the steering wheel in there and go where you want to go with it?
Mm-hmm.
Because the majority of people that you've seen up at that studio, when they show up, man, they're white knuckling that steering wheel, not going where they want to.
Yeah. For me, it's letting go of the steering wheel. It's letting that shit go and really figuring out who that character is and how would they feel listening to the lines that the other actor is giving. Like, what effect does that have? Like, what emotions that are in me need to come out and be available for this character? I can't drive it. That's when shit goes bad for me. Is when Nyema's like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna figure this out. I know what to do. Like, that's never gone well for me, like, ever. So for me, it's letting that shit go and just doing it enough, getting it in your bones so that that character shows up and you're in the car watching the meter. I don't know.
Hey, no, thank you for stretching that analogy. It's is way longer than I would have ever been able to stretch that one.
I can stretch things.
Hell yeah. No, you're such a brilliant speaker. I'm just so lucky that you were like, yeah, let's go live. What do you mean?
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
go. Let's go live. Okay.
I've been sitting here since 11, like, so ready. Lipstick on, background up. I've been like, dude, I'm so ready for this. Because it's
I mean, if any, like, hey, you taught a lot of people, you know, how to show up. Because that's another thing that people don't understand is I've invited a lot of people to do these things. Some people don't have the best reaction to it.
Really?
Yeah, they're okay on camera if it's rehearsed.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
But when they're like, can you send over a list of your questions? I'm like, what list?
Yeah, that's not really how Richie works. Yeah.
Like, you know me. I'm not, like, I'm the most enthusiastic person about you, hopefully aside from you. But I definitely want to make sure that we're not locked into some predetermined path that might take away from some of the gems that you've dropped, you know, that we were able to go discover. Because I wasn't like, all right, question number 6.
Right.
Acting. What does it mean to you?
Right.
Nyema, go.
Right. Where do you find your gravitas? I don't know.
Am I sitting on my gravitas? So I really just want to, you know, make sure that you have a chance to let everybody know what this is to you, why it is that way, and, you know, what your plans are for the future too, because I know you have some pretty big dreams. So please tell us, if you would, what's coming up, where can we see you now, what's going on, what are your plans, like what's the future have in stow?
So I am not great about this, but I really want to get more into social media stuff. I had so much fun, or I have so much fun whenever I sit my ass down and just do a sketch by myself. It's like going to the gym. It's like, oh, I really don't, I don't feel like it. But then you go and you're like, fuck yeah, I could run a marathon. That's how I feel about social media. So that is one of my biggest goals right now, is to get my shit together in that regard and produce more content. And yeah, I'm auditioning a lot. I'm auditioning more frequently and for bigger projects. Like, casting directors are calling me in repeatedly. So like, I really feel like good momentum is building there. And yeah, beyond that, just trying to get through this pandemic, trying to hold down my job and juggle just life, you know? Yeah. And I also want to work with other people too. Definitely want to collaborate with more other people.
Well, that's awesome. And now everybody's going to slide into your DMs trying to do some sketches.
Hey.
Desi brings up a great point also. What advice, if you were asked, you know, on a red carpet, like, hey, to all the young aspiring actors out there, what do you think they should hear as either a young comedian, young actor, young producer? What is it that you think would help them the most if you had that voice?
There's so much.
The one thing that they should definitely take away from this.
I would say get a skill and become really good at it, whether it's singing, riding a unicycle, DJing, like some kind of skill that you enjoy, that's like fun for you, but that could potentially lead to an acting job. Because I can't tell you how many breakdowns I see where it's like, must be a real DJ, must be a real nurse. More and more, that's a thing. And it's just good in general as a balanced human being, especially as stressful and maddening as this business can be. You want to have an outlet. You want to have something that gets you out of your head and into your body, and just that you can just play with. You need to play. Maybe that's the advice. Maybe it's just keep playing. Keep playing.
I love watching that whole entire thought evolve, because it came from the most genuine place.
Yeah, I try.
You know, and it ended up in like the Valhalla of all things acting. You know, it's a play. You call it a play still. The
That's
people in
true.
the play are called players.
Yeah,
The information on all those people is called a playbook.
right? That's so
And
true.
then we stop thinking of it as a game.
Mhm.
So if you joined us recently, or if you're just watching this now on IGTV later, and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell is my skill? But you're very good at playing games, whether it be mind games or games with your body, or you turn things into a game. Mary Poppins the shit out of cleaning up your room, okay? Like, you turn this into a game and you'll realize, it's like Alan Watts, all these philosophers, their main conclusion at the end of their lives, when people say, you know, what would you tell the world before you die? You know, you just heard it out of Nyema's mouth.
Keep playing. Keep playing.
Keep playing. And if it's a game, you have fun, so you do it more, so you get better, and it
Yes,
becomes a skill.
exactly.
Yeah. So find your fun, find your love, find your skill. Like, man, I'm so impressed by you always.
Oh,
And
Richie, it's so likewise. Very mutual
it's,
admiration society.
hey, it's always been 2 members at least. It's always been so easy to talk to you.
Oh, thanks, Richie. Thank you.
So definitely hit her up. Find her everywhere you
Yeah,
can.
find me. Play with
Yeah.
me.
And demand more comedy of her.
Yeah, that's not a bad strategy. I need people to pull me out.
Seriously, let's see if we could get some people starting to blow you up again and, you know, knock on the door.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you produce more content. I know everyone else that has would love to. Yeah, so where can we find you aside from here on Instagram?
Facebook, I don't know. I'm like, me and maybe 2 other people are still kind of quarantined. I'm about that quarantine life. Like, I'm an outgoing introvert. I'm kind of staying home. But if I were to venture out, you could probably find me at an open mic at the Haha, or I don't know. I'm gonna just stick with the Haha for now because that's logistically, yeah. Just look for me at the Haha. I'll probably be there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you, Richie, and thank you, Desi.
Oh man, yeah, thank you so much, Desi. Without her putting all these together and everything else in my life, God knows where all my energy would go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we love Desi. We love Desi.
Yes. So thank you so much for being here. Like she just said, you guys can find us, all of our information on richiechance.com. And we are going to be posting this on the IGTV. And by we, I mean Desi, because she suggested all that. So thank you so much for being here, Nyema. I love you so much.
You're so welcome. I love you more.
Hey, and thank everybody else for joining us.
Yes.
You guys were here.
Thank you.
So awesome.
Thank you,
I loved it. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
See you guys next week.